Listen to me carefully. The difference between winners and losers is not talent. It is not money. It is not luck. And it is definitely not where you were born. The real difference shows up in the moments nobody sees, the decisions you make when life gets hard, when motivation disappears, and when quitting feels easier than continuing. Everybody wants success. Nobody wants the process. That is where separation begins. A loser waits to feel ready. A winner moves while feeling afraid. You see, winners understand something most people never learn. Success is not comfortable. Growth does not feel good every day. Discipline is painful. Sacrifice is real. While others are sleeping, winners are preparing. While others complain, winners are improving. While others look for excuses, winners look for solutions. Losers talk about what they want. Winners work for what they want. Pay attention to how people react to failure. That alone tells you everything. A loser fails once and says, maybe this isn't for me. A winner fails and says, now I know one way that doesn't work. Failure doesn't stop winners, it trains them. Every setback becomes information. Every rejection becomes fuel. Winners don't take failure personally. They take responsibility. And responsibility is heavy. That's why most people avoid it. It's easier to blame the economy, your past, your family, or your circumstances. But winners look in the mirror and say, if my life changes, it starts with me. That mindset changes everything. Another thing that separates winners from losers is focus. Losers chase comfort. Winners chase purpose. Comfort feels good today, but destroys tomorrow. Purpose demands effort today, but builds a powerful future. Look around. Distractions are everywhere. Phones, opinions, negativity, comparison. Losers allow distractions to control their time. Winners protect their attention like their life depends on it, because it does. Where your focus goes, your life follows. Winners also understand patience. They don't expect overnight success. They know greatness is built slowly, quietly, and consistently. A loser plants a seed and digs it up every week to see if it's growing. A winner waters it daily and trusts the process. Success rewards consistency, not intensity. You don't need to be perfect every day. You just need to show up every day. Small efforts repeated daily create massive results over time. Winners fall, but they stand up faster. They get tired, but they don't quit. They doubt themselves, but they keep moving anyway. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Winners are not always more confident. They are just more committed. Commitment means continuing after excitement disappears. Anyone can start when they feel inspired. Winners continue when motivation is gone. Discipline is the only thing left. Losers wait for motivation. Winners build habits. Another separation point is environment. Winners choose growth even when it feels lonely. Sometimes you must outgrow conversations, habits, and even people who don't support your vision. Losers stay where they feel comfortable. Winners go where they can evolve. Growth requires courage. You cannot become extraordinary living an ordinary routine. Winners wake up with intention. They ask themselves, what can I improve today? They invest in learning, health, mindset, and skills. They understand that success outside begins with discipline inside. Your daily choices decide your identity. And let me tell you something powerful. Winning is not about beating other people. Winning is about becoming better than the person you were yesterday. The real competition is internal. The real battle happens in your mind every morning when you decide whether to rise or stay average. Every day you are choosing winner or loser mindset. Nobody becomes a winner accidentally. It is built decision by decision, habit by habit, sacrifice by sacrifice. Winners do the hard things now so life becomes easier later. Losers avoid hard things now and face harder consequences later. The world does not reward intentions. It rewards execution. So if you want to separate yourself from the crowd, stop announcing your goals and start building them silently. Stop waiting for approval. Stop fearing judgment. Stop negotiating with excuses. Work when nobody claps. Improve when nobody notices. Stay consistent when results are invisible. Because one day, the same people who doubted you will ask how you did it. And the answer will be simple. You chose discipline over comfort, action over excuses, growth over fear. That is what separates winners from losers. Most people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, waiting to feel confident, waiting for support, waiting for motivation, and waiting for fear to disappear. But winners understand something powerful that separates them from everyone else. The perfect moment never comes. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. While others stand still analyzing every possible outcome, winners move forward even when they feel uncertain. Fear is not a signal to stop. It is a sign that growth is near. The difference is that losers interpret fear as danger, while winners interpret fear as opportunity. When a new challenge appears, most people immediately think about what could go wrong. Winners ask a different question: what could go right if I try? That shift in thinking changes everything. You do not need confidence to start. Confidence is built after you begin. Many people believe successful individuals started because they were brave, talented, or fully prepared. The truth is far simpler. They started before they were ready. They made decisions while doubting themselves. They took steps while feeling uncomfortable. Every successful person you admire once stood exactly where you are now, unsure but willing to try. Waiting feels safe, but waiting slowly destroys dreams. Every day spent delaying action strengthens fear and weakens belief. The longer you wait, the heavier the decision becomes. Winners refuse to let hesitation control their future. They understand that progress comes from movement, even imperfect movement. Action does not require perfection. In fact, perfection is often the biggest excuse people use to avoid starting. Losers spend months planning, thinking, and talking about what they will do someday. Winners begin with what they have, where they are, and improve along the way. They accept mistakes as part of the process rather than proof of failure. Momentum is one of the greatest advantages winners create. The first step is always the hardest because it breaks resistance. Once movement begins, energy follows. Small actions lead to small wins, and small wins build belief. That belief fuels bigger actions, and slowly a powerful cycle begins. Winners understand that success is not one giant leap, but thousands of small steps taken consistently. Another reason winners act quickly is because they value time differently. They know time is the only resource that cannot be replaced. Money lost can be earned again. Opportunities missed might return. But time wasted is gone forever. Every day spent waiting is a piece of life that never comes back. Winners respect time enough to take action now instead of someday. Action also separates dreamers from achievers. Everyone has ideas. Everyone has goals. Everyone talks about what they want to become, but only a small percentage actually execute. Winners understand that ideas without action are illusions. Talking about success feels productive, but real growth happens only through doing. There will never be complete certainty. Winners accept uncertainty as part of the journey. They do not require guarantees before moving forward. They learn by experience instead of overthinking. Each action teaches something valuable: what works, what doesn't, and then what needs improvement. And knowledge gained through action is far more powerful than knowledge gained through thinking alone. Many people fear judgment. They worry about what others will say if they fail. Winners realize that people will judge whether you try or not, so you might as well move forward. They refuse to allow opinions to become obstacles. Progress matters more than approval. Action also builds resilience. Every challenge faced strengthens mental toughness. Every obstacle overcome increases confidence. Winners become stronger because they repeatedly choose action despite discomfort. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes normal. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. Hesitation creates regret. Years later, most people do not regret the risks they took. They regret the chances they avoided. Winners live with lessons, while losers live with what if. Taking action may lead to temporary failure, but avoiding action guarantees permanent stagnation. Starting small is still starting. You do not need massive resources or perfect conditions. One step today is more powerful than endless planning tomorrow. Winners focus on progress, not speed. They understand that consistency beats intensity. Showing up daily, even imperfectly, eventually creates extraordinary results. Action changes identity. When you repeatedly take steps towards your goals, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop identifying as someone who dreams and start becoming someone who executes. That internal transformation is where real success begins. The separation between winners and losers is often invisible at first. It happens in quiet moments when a decision must be made, move forward or stay comfortable. Winners choose movement. They choose growth over fear, effort over excuses, and progress over perfection. In the end, success belongs to those who act while others hesitate. Not because they are fearless, but because they refuse to let fear decide their future. Every action taken today builds the person you become tomorrow. And the moment you stop waiting and start moving is the moment your life begins to change. One of the clearest differences between winners and losers is the way they respond to responsibility. Winners take ownership of everything in their lives, their results, their mistakes, their progress, and even their failures. Losers, on the other hand, search for something or someone to blame. They blame circumstances, bad luck, lack of support, their past, or the people around them. But the moment you begin blaming external factors, you give away your power to change your situation. Responsibility is not about guilt, it is about control. When you accept responsibility, you accept that your actions matter. Winners understand that while they cannot control everything that happens to them, they can always control how they respond. That mindset creates strength. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I do next?" This shift moves them from being victims of life to creators of their future. Many people avoid responsibility because it feels heavy. It requires honesty. It forces you to face uncomfortable truths about your habits, decisions, and effort. It is easier to say the system is unfair or opportunities are limited than to admit you need to grow, learn, or work harder. But winners embrace that discomfort because they know responsibility is the starting point of improvement. When something goes wrong, losers look outward. Winners look inward. If they fail an exam, lose a job opportunity, or fall short of a goal, they analyze their preparation, discipline, and strategy. They search for lessons instead of excuses. This approach allows constant growth because every mistake becomes feedback. Excuses may protect your ego temporarily, but they destroy progress permanently. Every excuse builds a wall between you and success. Winners refuse to build those walls. They understand that improvement begins when excuses end. Taking responsibility means saying, "If my life is going to change, I must change first." Ownership also builds confidence. Confidence does not come from success alone. It comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. When you consistently take responsibility for your actions, You develop trust in your ability to handle challenges. You stop fearing problems because you know you will face them directly rather than avoiding them. Another powerful aspect of responsibility is accountability. Winners hold themselves accountable even when nobody is watching. They do not depend on external pressure to stay disciplined. They keep promises to themselves. If they set a goal, they treat it seriously. This internal accountability becomes a powerful driving force because their standards come from within, not from outside validation. Losers often wait for motivation, support, or perfect conditions before acting. Winners accept responsibility for creating their own momentum. They understand that nobody is coming to rescue them. Waiting for someone else to fix your life is a losing strategy. The moment you accept that your future depends on your daily choices, you begin to reclaim control over your direction. Responsibility also changes how you see obstacles. Instead of viewing problems as unfair barriers, winners see them as challenges to solve. This mindset transforms stress into growth opportunities. Every obstacle becomes a chance to develop new skills, patience, and resilience. Taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself harshly for everything. It means focusing on what you can influence instead of what you cannot. Winners do not waste energy complaining about circumstances beyond their control. They direct their energy toward action, adaptation, and improvement. This mindset is especially important during difficult times. Anyone can feel confident when life is easy. True separation happens when things go wrong. Winners step forward during adversity and ask what adjustments are needed. They learn, adapt, and continue moving. Losers retreat into excuses and remain stuck. Responsibility also strengthens discipline. When you recognize that your habits directly shape your future, daily actions gain meaning. Waking up early, practicing skills, improving health, and learning consistently are no longer optional tasks. They become personal commitments tied to the life you want to build. Another important truth is that responsibility brings freedom. At first, it feels like pressure because you realize results depend on you. But over time, it becomes empowering. You no longer feel controlled by circumstances because you understand your choices influence outcomes. This realization creates independence and self-respect. Winners understand that growth requires self-awareness. They regularly evaluate their behavior, mindset, and progress. They ask difficult questions. Am I improving? Am I disciplined enough? Am I using my time wisely? These reflections allow constant adjustment and development. The world respects individuals who take responsibility because they become reliable and trustworthy. People naturally gravitate toward those who own their actions and seek solutions rather than complaints. Opportunities often follow responsibility because leaders are those who step forward instead of stepping away. Ultimately, accepting responsibility is a decision. It is the moment you stop waiting for life to change and start changing yourself. It is choosing ownership over excuses, action over blame, and growth over comfort. The separation between winners and losers is not hidden in talent or luck. It is visible in daily reactions. Winners accept responsibility for where they are and where they are going. And once you fully own your life, you gain the power to transform it step by step, decision by decision, into something greater than you once imagined. Failure is one of the most misunderstood parts of success. Most people see failure as a sign to stop, a signal that they are not good enough, or proof that their dreams are unrealistic. This is where the separation between winners and losers becomes clear. Losers interpret failure as defeat, while winners interpret failure as feedback. The same experience produces completely different outcomes depending on mindset. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has failed repeatedly. The difference is that winners never allow failure to define their identity. They understand that failure is an event, not a person. It is something that happens during the journey, not the end of the journey itself. When a winner falls short, they do not say, "I am a failure." They say, "This attempt failed, but I learned something valuable." Failure provides information that success cannot teach. When things go well, people rarely analyze their actions deeply. But when something goes wrong, it forces reflection. Winners use that moment to study what happened. They ask questions: what could I improve? What mistake did I make? What skill do I need to develop? This process turns setbacks into education. Losers often avoid failure because they fear embarrassment or judgment. They prefer safety over growth. But avoiding failure also means avoiding progress. Growth requires experimentation, and experimentation always includes mistakes. Winners accept this reality early. They understand that every attempt moves them closer to mastery, even when the result is not successful. One powerful truth is that failure builds resilience. Life will always present challenges, rejection, and unexpected obstacles. Winners become mentally strong because they face difficulties repeatedly and learn to recover quickly. Each setback strengthens their ability to handle future pressure. Over time, what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Another reason winners use failure as fuel is because they separate emotion from learning. It is natural to feel disappointment when something does not work out. Winners allow themselves to feel frustration, but they do not stay trapped in it. Instead of focusing on what they lost, they focus on what they gained from the experience. This shift allows them to move forward faster than those who remain stuck in regret. Failure also reveals commitment. When success comes easily, many people stay motivated. But when progress becomes difficult, true dedication is tested. Winners continue despite setbacks because their vision is stronger than temporary pain. Losers often quit at this stage because their motivation depended on immediate results rather than long-term purpose. Every failure contains a lesson, but only those willing to look for it benefit. Winners treat mistakes like teachers. They adjust strategies, improve skills, and try again with more knowledge. This continuous cycle of attempt, failure, learning, and improvement creates steady progress over time. Another important aspect is perspective. Winners understand that failure is temporary, but quitting can be permanent. A failed attempt can be corrected, but giving up closes the door completely. By continuing to try, winners keep opportunities alive. Persistence transforms failure from an obstacle into a stepping stone. Fear of failure often comes from worrying about others' opinions. Many people hesitate to take risks because they fear criticism. Winners realize that judgment is unavoidable. People will have opinions whether you succeed or struggle. Instead of seeking approval, winners focus on growth. They accept that temporary embarrassment is a small price for long-term achievement. Failure also develops creativity. When one method does not work, winners search for alternatives. They innovate, adapt, and experiment. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history came after multiple unsuccessful attempts. Each failure narrowed the path toward what eventually worked. Patience plays a major role in this process. Success rarely happens quickly. Winners expect challenges along the way, so failure does not shock them. They see progress as a long journey rather than a single moment. This realistic expectation helps them remain consistent even during difficult periods. Using failure as fuel also strengthens self-belief. Each time you recover from a setback, you prove to yourself that you are capable of continuing. That realization builds confidence based on experience rather than hope. Confidence earned through overcoming adversity becomes stronger than confidence gained through easy success. Losers often allow one failure to stop them completely. Winners understand that failure is part of the price of success. They accept that mistakes are unavoidable when pursuing meaningful goals. Instead of trying to avoid failure, they focus on improving after each attempt. Over time, this mindset creates momentum. Lessons accumulate, skills improve, and resilience grows. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable because repeated failures have refined ability and understanding. Winners do not succeed because they fail less. They succeed because they learn more from failure. The true power of failure lies in transformation. It shapes character, strengthens discipline, and clarifies purpose. Every setback becomes preparation for future success. Winners move forward carrying lessons instead of regret. In the end, failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. The individuals who rise above others are not those who avoid falling, but those who stand up every time they fall. By turning failure into fuel, winners transform obstacles into energy that pushes them closer to their goals, proving that persistence combined with learning is stronger than any temporary defeat. Focus is one of the rarest and most powerful qualities that separates winners from losers. In a world filled with constant noise, endless notifications, opinions, and distractions, the ability to concentrate on what truly matters has become a competitive advantage. Winners understand that success is not only about working hard, but about directing energy toward the right things consistently. Losers, however, allow distractions to control their attention, and wherever attention goes, results follow. Every day presents countless opportunities to lose focus. Social media, entertainment, unnecessary conversations, comparison with others, and negative thinking quietly consume time and mental energy. These distractions may seem small individually, but over weeks, months, and years they create massive distance between potential and reality. Winners recognize that distraction is not harmless. It is one of the biggest obstacles to achievement. Focus begins with clarity of purpose. Winners know what they are working toward. They have clear goals that guide their decisions. Because they understand their direction, they can easily say no to activities that do not align with their vision. Losers often lack this clarity, which makes them vulnerable to every new trend, opportunity, or distraction that appears. Without a clear destination, it is impossible to stay on the right path. Attention is a limited resource. You cannot give your energy to everything and still expect meaningful progress. Winners protect their attention carefully. They treat time and focus as valuable assets rather than unlimited resources. This means prioritizing important tasks even when easier or more entertaining options are available. One of the biggest differences between winners and others is their ability to delay gratification. Distractions usually offer immediate pleasure, but long-term consequences. Focused work often feels difficult in the moment, but produces lasting rewards. Winners consistently choose long-term growth over short-term comfort. They understand that every moment spent improving skills or building something meaningful compounds over time. Another important aspect of focus is discipline. Motivation comes and goes, but disciplined focus remains steady. Winners do not depend on feeling inspired every day. They train themselves to concentrate even when they feel tired or uninterested. By showing up consistently, they create progress regardless of emotional state. Multitasking is often mistaken for productivity, but it usually reduces effectiveness. Winners understand the power of deep work, dedicating uninterrupted time to one important task. When focus is undivided, quality improves, learning accelerates, and results become stronger. Losers frequently switch between tasks, messages, and distractions, which weakens performance and slows progress. Environment also plays a crucial role in maintaining focus. Winners intentionally shape their surroundings to support concentration. They limit unnecessary noise, reduce digital distractions, and spend time with people who encourage growth. They understand that environment influences behavior more than willpower alone. By designing supportive environments, they make focus easier to maintain. Focus is not only external but internal as well. Mental distractions such as self-doubt, comparison, and overthinking can be just as damaging as physical interruptions. Winners train their minds to return to the present task instead of becoming trapped in worry or negativity. They learn to control thoughts rather than allowing thoughts to control them. Consistency and focus creates mastery. Skills improve when attention is directed repeatedly toward the same area over time. Winners resist the urge to constantly switch goals. They stay committed long enough to see progress. Losers often abandon projects too early, chasing something new whenever challenges appear. This lack of sustained focus prevents deep growth. Another powerful benefit of focus is efficiency. When attention is fully engaged, tasks require less time and produce better outcomes. Winners accomplish more not because they work endlessly, but because they work intentionally. Focus eliminates wasted effort and directs energy toward meaningful action. Protecting focus also requires saying no. Winners understand that every yes to distraction is a no to progress. They set boundaries with their time and attention. This may mean limiting entertainment, reducing unnecessary commitments, or stepping away from environments that encourage procrastination. These decisions may feel difficult initially, but they create space for growth. Focus strengthens confidence because progress becomes visible. When effort is concentrated, improvement happens faster. Seeing results reinforces belief in one's ability, creating a positive cycle of motivation and achievement. Distraction, on the other hand, leads to scattered effort and slow progress, which often creates frustration and self-doubt. The modern world constantly competes for attention because attention has value. Winners recognize this and consciously choose where to invest their mental energy. They do not allow external influences to decide how their time is spent. Instead, they act with intention and awareness. Ultimately, focus is about commitment. It is choosing a direction and remaining loyal to it despite distractions, boredom, or temporary difficulty. Winners understand that extraordinary results require sustained attention over long periods. They accept that success is not built through occasional effort, but through consistent, focused action. The separation between winners and losers often comes down to where they place their attention each day. Small moments of focus accumulate into significant achievements, while small distractions accumulate into lost potential. By protecting their focus and directing it toward meaningful goals, winners create progress that others only talk about, proving that attention, when controlled and sustained, becomes one of the strongest forces for transformation. Discipline and consistent habits are the foundation upon which success is built. While many people search for motivation, winners rely on discipline because they understand that motivation is temporary. Some days you feel inspired and energetic, but many days you do not. If progress depended only on motivation, very few people would achieve anything meaningful. Winners separate themselves by doing what needs to be done, even when they do not feel like doing it. Discipline begins with understanding that small daily actions matter more than occasional big efforts. Success is rarely the result of one powerful moment. It is the result of repeated behaviors performed consistently over time. Winners focus on building routines that move them closer to their goals every day. These habits may seem small in isolation, but their long-term impact becomes enormous through repetition. Consistency creates momentum. When actions are repeated regularly, they become automatic. Winners do not debate with themselves every morning about whether they should work, learn, or improve. Their habits remove the need for constant decision-making. This reduces mental resistance and allows progress to continue even during difficult periods. Losers often depend on emotion to guide action, which leads to inconsistency and slow results. One important truth about discipline is that it often feels uncomfortable at the beginning. Waking up early, practicing skills, exercising, or studying requires effort and sacrifice. The human mind naturally seeks comfort and avoids difficulty. Winners train themselves to act despite this resistance. Over time, what once felt hard becomes normal, and discipline transforms into a natural lifestyle rather than a struggle. Habits shape identity. Every repeated action sends a message to your mind about who you are. When you consistently show discipline, you begin to see yourself as a disciplined person. This identity strengthens commitment because actions align with self-perception. Winners build habits not only to achieve goals, but to become the type of person capable of sustaining success. Consistency also builds trust in yourself. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, confidence grows. You learn that you can rely on your own effort regardless of mood or circumstances. This self-trust becomes powerful because external validation becomes less necessary. Winners gain strength from internal reliability rather than external praise. Many people underestimate the power of small improvements. They look for dramatic changes and quick results, becoming discouraged when progress appears slow. Winners understand the principle of gradual growth. Improving slightly each day may not seem impressive immediately, but over months and years it creates massive transformation. Small disciplined actions compound just like investments, producing results far greater than expected. Discipline also protects against distractions and setbacks. When habits are strong, temporary challenges do not completely derail progress. A disciplined person continues moving forward even after a bad day or failure. Losers often stop completely when motivation disappears, while winners rely on established routines to maintain momentum. Another important aspect of discipline is delayed gratification. Winners choose actions that benefit their future rather than satisfying immediate desires. This might mean working instead of relaxing, learning instead of scrolling, or practicing instead of procrastinating. These choices may feel difficult in the moment, but they build long-term rewards that far outweigh temporary comfort. Structure plays a key role in developing consistent habits. Winners create schedules, routines, and systems that make productive behavior easier. They do not rely on random bursts of energy. Instead, they design their daily lives around actions that support growth. This intentional structure reduces uncertainty and strengthens commitment. Discipline also develops resilience. Showing up consistently teaches patience and perseverance. There will be days when progress feels invisible and effort seems unrewarded. Winners continue anyway because they understand that results often appear after long periods of unseen work. Persistence during these quiet phases separates those who succeed from those who quit prematurely. Another benefit of disciplined habits is efficiency. Repetition improves skill and reduces wasted effort. Tasks that once required significant energy become easier with practice. Winners use this efficiency to advance further while others struggle to maintain basic consistency. It is important to understand that discipline is not about perfection. Winners do not perform flawlessly every day. They make mistakes, experience setbacks, and sometimes lose momentum. The difference is that they return quickly to their habits instead of giving up entirely. Consistency over time matters more than occasional perfection. Discipline creates freedom rather than restriction. At first, routines may feel limiting, but over time they produce results that expand opportunities. Financial stability, physical health, strong skills, and personal growth all emerge from disciplined behavior. Winners accept temporary structure to achieve long-term independence. Ultimately, habits determine direction. Daily actions, repeated over months and years, shape outcomes far more than occasional decisions. Winners understand that their future is being built quietly through ordinary routines. They focus on controlling what they do each day rather than worrying about distant results. The separation between winners and losers is rarely dramatic in a single moment. It appears in daily choices, showing up, practicing, learning, and improving consistently. Discipline turns effort into progress and progress into success. By committing to consistent habits, regardless of mood or circumstance, winners create steady growth that eventually transforms their lives in ways that once seemed impossible. One of the deepest differences between winners and losers is the relationship they have with comfort. Human nature naturally pulls people toward what feels easy, familiar, and safe. Comfort provides temporary peace, but it often prevents growth. Winners understand that real progress lies outside the comfort zone. They deliberately choose challenges that stretch their abilities, even when those challenges feel uncomfortable or uncertain. Comfort creates stability, but too much comfort creates stagnation. When life becomes predictable and effortless, improvement slows down. Skills stop developing, ambition weakens, and potential remains unused. Losers often prioritize feeling comfortable today without considering the long-term consequences. Winners think differently. They are willing to experience temporary discomfort because they value future growth more than present ease. Growth always demands change, and change rarely feels pleasant at the beginning. Learning new skills involves mistakes. Pursuing big goals includes rejection and criticism. Building discipline requires sacrifice. Winners accept these realities instead of resisting them. They understand that discomfort is not punishment, it is evidence of progress. Each uncomfortable experience expands capability and confidence. Fear often guards the entrance to growth. Many people avoid opportunities because they fear failure, judgment, or uncertainty. Winners recognize that fear is a natural response to the unknown, not a command to stop. Instead of running away from fear, they move toward it carefully and intentionally. Every time they confront fear, it loses power over them and their confidence increases. Choosing growth over comfort also requires long-term thinking. Comfort focuses on immediate satisfaction, while growth focuses on future outcomes. Watching entertainment instead of studying feels easier now, but consistent learning builds opportunities later. Avoiding difficult conversations may feel safe, but honest communication strengthens relationships and leadership. Winners repeatedly choose actions that benefit their future selves. Another important element is adaptability. The world changes constantly, and those who remain comfortable with old habits struggle to keep up. Winners embrace learning and evolution. They remain curious and open to improvement because they know that staying the same in a changing world leads to decline. Growth-oriented individuals continuously upgrade their skills, mindset, and knowledge. Growth also demands humility. Winners accept that they do not know everything and that improvement is always possible. This mindset allows them to learn from others, accept feedback, and refine their approach. Losers often protect their comfort by avoiding criticism or refusing to admit weaknesses. While this may protect pride temporarily, it blocks development. Discomfort builds resilience. When individuals repeatedly face challenges, they develop emotional strength. Problems that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Winners gain confidence not because life becomes easier, but because they become stronger. This resilience allows them to pursue bigger goals without being stopped by temporary difficulties. Another aspect of choosing growth is willingness to be different. Growth sometimes requires separating from familiar habits, environments, or social expectations. Winners understand that improvement may feel lonely at times. They accept that not everyone will understand their journey. Instead of seeking approval, they remain committed to personal development. Learning is a continuous process for winners. They read, practice, observe, and reflect regularly. Even after achieving success, they continue improving because growth has become part of their identity. Losers often stop learning once they reach a certain level of comfort, which eventually limits future opportunities. Choosing growth over comfort also changes perspective on failure. When growth becomes the goal, failure becomes part of learning rather than something to avoid. Winners experiment, take calculated risks, and accept setbacks as necessary steps toward mastery. Comfort-focused individuals avoid risk entirely, which prevents meaningful progress. Discipline plays an important role here as well. Growth-oriented choices are rarely the easiest options in the moment. They require effort and persistence. Winners train themselves to act according to purpose rather than emotion. Over time, repeated growth-oriented decisions create powerful habits that make continuous improvement natural. Another powerful result of choosing growth is expanded possibility. Each new skill learned and each challenge overcome increases opportunities. Winners gradually build confidence because they repeatedly prove to themselves that they can handle difficulty. This belief encourages them to pursue goals that once seemed impossible. Comfort promises safety, but often leads to regret. Many people later realize they avoided opportunities because they feared discomfort. Winners minimize regret by taking action, learning, and evolving continuously. They prefer temporary struggle over lifelong wondering about what might have been. Growth transforms identity. A person who consistently chooses challenge becomes stronger, wiser, and more capable. Over time, the comfort zone itself expands. Situations that once caused fear or anxiety become normal experiences. Winners do not eliminate discomfort, they grow beyond it. Ultimately, the separation between winners and losers lies in daily decisions. One path chooses ease, familiarity, and short-term relief. The other chooses challenge, learning, and long-term fulfillment. Winners understand that comfort may feel good now, but growth builds the life they truly want. By choosing growth repeatedly, even in small ways, winners shape their future intentionally. They accept discomfort as a necessary companion on the journey toward excellence. Through continuous learning, adaptation, and courage, they transform potential into reality, proving that the willingness to grow beyond comfort is one of the most powerful forces behind lasting success.